Hi guys, it's Stacy with Handmade by Stacy J. Today I'm coming to you with a new pattern. It is a knit snarf scarf. This is a simple snarf scarf, and this is Bucket. So this pattern works up very quickly, just an hour, maybe two tops. Uses knit, purl, some yarn overs, and a little bit of cable cast on just to add the ties. It's all worked in one piece. It uses very little yarn, great stash buster. Perfect little gift for your puppy for the holidays. So if you want to find the free pattern, you can get the written pattern on my website at www.handmadebystacyj.com, and I will have the links below as well. So grab your needles, grab some yarn, let's get started. So let's go over the materials that we need for this simple snarf scarf. Now I'm using the King Cole Cherished Baby Double Knitting Yarn, and this is a 100% low pilling acrylic. There's about 262 yards or 240 meters in a ball, and it is a DK weight. Now I'm using about 24 yards in the color Laurel. This is my color A. And then my color B, which is white, I'm going to be using about 36 yards of. You're also going to need US size 7 or 4.5 millimeter, 24 inch or 60 centimeters circular knitting needle. And you can go with a longer cord if you need to. If you have the long straight needles, you can use those. But I just find these make it easier on me. You'll also need a stitch marker. And this is optional, but I love the effect of a little bell. And this is a 0.7 inch or an 18 millimeter bell. Now I found a big bag of these at a local craft store, so it came with like 38 pieces, so I can make lots of happy holiday snarf scarves with these. You'll also need a tapestry needle, scissors, and a measuring tape because you'll need to measure the circumference of your critter. Before we get started, use your measuring tape and measure the circumference of your critter's neck. Now I'm making mine for my dog Bucket, and he has a 16-inch neck. After you know the circumference, you'll subtract 2 inches, or if you're working in centimeters, you'll subtract 5 centimeters, because that's the approximate width that you're going to work up to with your snarf scarf. And one more thing to notice is that you will not cut the yarn. Instead, you're going to carry it up the side of your project, so I'll let you know when to cut that. And this works up really quick. There's a 6-stitch increase on the right side of the pattern with every right side row. So this is a very quick project. To begin the snarf scarf, we're going to start off by casting on 3 stitches. So I have my slip knot, and I'm going to do 2 more. Then we have a total of 3, and I just used the long tail cast on for this. Then we're going to begin the project. So for row 1, this is our right side. We're going to begin by knitting 1. Then we'll yarn over, knit 1. Yarn over, knit 1. And that should take us up to 5 stitches. Then we're going to turn our work and purl across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we're going to turn our work. And we're going to repeat row 1 again. So we're going to do a knit 1, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, and knit 1. Then we're going to turn our work and we'll purl across. And you should be up to 9 stitches now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now we'll turn our work, and this is the row where we're going to be using our stitch marker, and that's going to mark where the middle of the snarf scarf is. So we're going to begin by doing a knit 1, yarn over. And we're going to do that one more time. Knit 1, yarn over. Then we're going to knit 2. So 1, 2. Then we're going to yarn over and place our marker. Then we're going to knit 1. And that knit 1 that is right next to this marker, that's going to be the spine of your snarf scarf. So that's going to be what works up the middle. Now after you've placed your marker, When you've done your knit 1, you're going to yarn over and knit 2. Then we'll yarn over and knit 1 2 times. Yarn over, knit 1. And this will take you to 15 stitches. So we're going to rotate our work and we're going to purl those 15 stitches. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Slip that marker as you come to it. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Now we're going to begin row 7 by knitting 1 and yarning over 2 times. So knit 1, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over. Then we're going to knit to the marker. Before we slip the marker, we're going to do a yarn over, then we're going to slip the marker, and then you'll knit 1. Then we're going to yarn over and knit to the last 2 stitches. When we're down to the last 2, we're going to finish by yarning over, knitting 1, and yarn over, knit 1. Then for row 8, we're going to do something just a little bit different. We're going to knit across. And this is what gives you that little edge. I like the garter ridges. So there we go, just knit across. Now as we've come to the end of that row, we're going to change colors. But we are not going to cut this yarn. Instead, we're going to carry it up with the work. So I'm just going to set that aside. I'm going to grab my other color, which is the white, my color B, and we're going to repeat row 7. And you'll find that there's a lot of repeats in this because it is a very simple pattern. So we're going to begin by knitting 1. Then we'll do a yarn over, knit 1, yarn over. Then we're going to knit to the marker. Need to get a little bit more yarn. And then before we slip this marker, we're going to yarn over. Then we'll slip the marker, knit 1, and we'll yarn over and knit to the last 2 stitches. When we get to these last 2 stitches, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, knit 1. And see how much it's already growing? I mean, it doesn't look like a whole lot just yet, but it will come together. So we're going to turn our work, and for row 10, we are going to purl across. So just purl across, slipping that marker as you come to it. Now for row 11, we're still going to repeat row 7 once more. And before we begin that row, I'm going to give my yarn a little twist. That way my green carries up with me. And the way I do that is just maneuver the yarn so that there's a little twist and the green just goes for a little ride. And I typically will give it 2 twists, just because that's the way I am. And if you prefer a different way, totally cool. Do your thing. But this is what works for me. So now we're going to repeat row 7. And that is to knit 1, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over. Then knit to the marker. And when we get to that marker, do a yarn over, slip the marker, knit one. Yarn over, knit to the last 2 stitches. When we get to those last 2, yarn over, knit, yarn over, knit. And then we're going to turn our work and knit across. Now that we've come to the end of that row, we're going to change colors back to the green. And that is all the pattern is. It's just repeating what we just did with our color B. We're now going to do the same thing with our color A. And you're just going to keep repeating until you get this to the measurement that you got with your circumference of your critter. So in my case, since Bucket has a 16-inch neck, I'm going to continue until this reaches 14 inches. And I'm just going to alternate the colors from B to A, B, A, until I reach 14 inches here. When you've reached the width that you want to get your Snarf scarf to, you'll want to end with either the completion of a row 11 or a row 15. So I continued the repeat until I got to where this measures about 14 inches across. Now we're going to begin making the ties so that we can tie this on our critter. So I finished with the last row facing the right side, and it's the 3rd row in. So it's right before we begin that knitting row, which is either a row 12 or a row 16. So I am ready now to start the ties. Now we're going to turn our work and we're going to work with a cable cast on. So we're going to use the cable cast on method to cast on 20 stitches. Now this is going to make about a 4-inch tie or 10 centimeters. If you want to make yours longer or you want to make it shorter, if you do in increments of 5 stitches, that will give you about 1 inch or 2.5 centimeters. So to do the cable cast on method, you simply take your right hand needle, insert it between 2 stitches on your left hand needle. Then you're going to take that yarn, pull it through. And you're going to make a loop, and you're going to put that loop onto your needle. And you're going to do that for a total of 20. So here we go. That's 2. And I take my time with this. I am not a fast cable cast on person, but this works really well for the Snarf scarf. So I'm going to cast on 20, and I will meet you at the end of that. So I've done my cable cast on of 20 stitches. Now we're ready to begin working this wrong side row. So we're going to knit those 20 that we cast on, or however many you chose to cast on. So if you cast on 10 or if you cast on 30, you're going to knit that amount until we get to where we're meeting up with the body of the Snarf scarf. So I'm going to knit those 20. Now we're coming up to this section here, and this was where you had on the last row your knit 1 and your yarn over. So what we're going to do is right here, we're going to do a knit 2 together, and then we're going to do another knit 2 together over the next 2 stitches. So knit those 2 together, and this just helps tie it in a little bit so it's a little more tidier. So there's 1 knit 2 together, and then we're going to do the next ones as a knit 2 together. Sometimes I just have to open up the stitch a little bit because of that yarn over. All right, so we have those together now. And now we're going to continue knitting until you get to the last 4 stitches on this side here. And when you come up to your stitch marker, just go ahead and remove that. So I'm going to knit across to those last 4 stitches, and then I will meet you there at that point. I'm coming up to the end where I have only 4 stitches remaining. And what we're going to do with these last 4 is we're going to knit 2 together 2 times. So we're going to take these first 2, and again, I'm just opening it up a little bit. So I'm going to knit 2 together, and then knit 2 together. Then my other yarn here that I'm not using anymore, I'm going to go ahead and cut it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add on the other tie. So I'm going to use the cable cast on method for another 20 stitches, and you can do however many you want to cast on. Just keep note of how many that you do. So I'm going to do 20 stitches with the cable cast on method. 1. I've cast on my 20, and now what we're going to do is knit 19, or however many you cast on, subtract by 1, because we're going to do that amount. So I'm going to knit 19 because I cast it on 20, and then I'm going to do a knit 2 together. So I'm going to knit 19, but if you cast on, say, 10, you would knit 9. If you cast on 25, you would knit 24. So I'm going to knit 19. Okay, so I've knit my 19, and now we're going to do a knit 2 together just to tie this in a little bit more. Or if you'd like, you can just knit this one and knit these 2 together, which I think I'm going to do just to close up that gap. So knit to where you see that gap, and then do a knit 2 together. After you've done that, knit across. Now that I've knit across, we're ready to do the bind off. And I'm going to use a stretchy bind off for this Snarf scarf. You can bind off knitwise if you want, however it does tighten it up a little bit, and it does give just a little bit of a curl. So the method that I use is the knit 1, then knit 2 together, then we place that back onto our needle. Then we knit 1, knit 2 together, place those stitches back on the left-hand needle, and you just continue doing that all the way across. So I finished binding off the Snarf scarf, and now it's time to put on our little bell. So what I'm using is the same color yarn that I have for the outside edge, because I'm going to tie it on right here at the very tip. So with my tapestry needle, I'm just simply going to go through the bell. Now we've got the string, and then we'll determine how we want it to go on. So I'm just going to find that center point, insert my needle, and then I'm going to do a few ties to secure it. So just a couple good knots. And then I'll weave in this yarn with the Snarf scarf as well. That way this doesn't go anywhere. And that is it for the simple Snarf scarf. I do hope you found this tutorial helpful. If you did, please like, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and come back later as I will have more patterns and tutorials for you. Thank you very much. Happy knitting. Bye-bye.